Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so what if I told you that one of the absolute biggest, most thrilling surprises of the 2026 FIFA World Cup could come from a matchup between two totally different footballing cultures? Today, we're diving into a potential blockbuster clash. The seasoned veterans of Mexico taking on the hungry, athletic challengers of South Africa. Man, I absolutely love looking at matchups like this because they offer such a brilliant contrast, you know? Different styles, different histories, completely different mentalities. On one side, you've got a team with decades of World Cup pedigree, deeply passionate fans, and the massive advantage of playing right in their own backyard. And on the flip side, a proud nation that's absolutely determined to prove African football demands way more respect on the world's biggest stage. Setting up the ultimate tale of the tape, we've got to ask ourselves, if these two forces actually collide in 2026, who comes out on top? Who really holds the edge? To answer this, we can't just guess, right? We need to break down the data. We're going to look at their history, map out their current tactical strengths, expose their vulnerabilities, and figure out where the game will actually be won or lost out there on the pitch. By the end of this explainer, we'll give you a highly realistic, data-driven prediction for this exact matchup. Let's get into it. Moving to Section 1, Comparing World Cup Histories. So, looking at Mexico, their national team is genuinely one of the most experienced squads in World Cup history. We're talking decades of appearances. They're famous all over the globe for consistently making it to the knockout stages. They've produced literal legends of the game, given us unforgettable moments, and honestly, they bring some of the most incredibly passionate supporters in the entire sport. Now, contrast that pedigree with South Africa. They've had a very different but profoundly impactful journey. Back in 2010, they achieved an incredible milestone, becoming the very first African nation to ever host the FIFA World Cup. That wasn't just a big deal for them, it inspired an entire continent. So while they might not have the same continuous tournament success as Mexico over the decades, they remain one of Africa's most recognizable, proud football nations. But historically speaking, Mexico has definitely been more successful on the world stage, and that experience in high-pressure do-or-die tournaments, well, that gives them a pretty significant psychological advantage right out of the gate. All right, Section 2, Analyzing Team Mexico. Okay, so Mexico has a whole bunch of ways to beat you. They're globally renowned for playing some highly technical football. They rely on this methodical build-up from the back, super coordinated attacking movement, and just really precise technical midfield play. Plus, their guys are regularly competing in top-tier leagues across North America and Europe, which gives them invaluable day-in and day-out experience against the world's elite. And then there's the fan support. You guys, this is going to be amplified tremendously by the 2026 location. Since the World Cup is being hosted across the US, Mexico, and Canada, Mexican fans are going to travel in massive, literally overwhelming numbers. Almost every single game Mexico plays in this tournament is going to feel like a home match. Combine that massive crowd energy with their quick transitions in attack and their inherent big tournament confidence, you've got a truly formidable force. But, they aren't invincible. Mexico definitely has a couple of clear vulnerabilities. In recent years, they've noticeably struggled when matched up against highly physical, imposing teams that use a high-pressing transition game. Plus, while they work brilliantly as a collective unit, they occasionally lack that singular, world-class superstar. That solo goal scorer who can just take the ball and single-handedly decide a match out of nowhere when the tactical system isn't clicking. That's a really crucial detail to keep in mind. Pivoting now to Section 3, Analyzing Team South Africa. South Africa counters Mexico's technical style with something completely different: raw athleticism and relentless energy. Historically, African teams bring incredible pace, strength, and determination to these international tournaments, and South Africa fits this mold perfectly. They rely heavily on lightning-fast counterattacks and a really high-energy pressing game. They've got a roster loaded with athletic players who can cover ground incredibly fast. And they've been improving steadily, putting a huge focus on developing this really exciting young core of talent, which builds a tremendously strong team spirit. If these South African players arrive at the tournament in top form, their sheer pace on the break gives them the very real ability to surprise much bigger, established nations. They absolutely thrive on disruption and speed. But just like Mexico, they've got hurdles to overcome. Their absolute biggest vulnerability, it's their lack of high-pressure tournament experience. Compared to Mexico, South Africa simply has a lot less World Cup mileage. Additionally, their squad faces fewer top 10 global opponents on a regular basis outside of tournament play. And in a high-stakes World Cup match with the whole world watching, man, that gap in elite-level experience can absolutely be the deciding factor, especially when the game gets super tight in those final 20 minutes. Which brings us to Section 4, the key midfield battle. So we're looking at the ultimate clash of styles here. It's like a giant chess match. Mexico's strategy is going to rely heavily on dominating possession. They want to slow the game down, control the tempo, and create chances through a very patient, methodical buildup. On the flip side, South Africa's counter strategy means they honestly don't even want the ball for long stretches. Their entire goal is to win the ball back in the midfield and immediately attack on the counter, punishing any open spaces left behind by the Mexican wingbacks. It's just a perfect stylistic contrast. If Mexico successfully dictates the pace with their possession, they'll control the match and likely suffocate South Africa. But if South Africa disrupts that possession, wins the ball in dangerous areas, and forces a chaotic, fast-paced game, they can absolutely orchestrate a massive upset. The whole entire match basically hinges on which side imposes their will right there in the midfield. And now for Section 5, Final Score Prediction. When we put it all on the scales, here's what we're weighing. Mexico's deep tournament pedigree, their stronger squad depth, and the massive advantage of playing in a highly familiar North American environment. And we're weighing that against South Africa's explosive, athletic, counterattacking talent. Now, South Africa definitely has the sheer talent and the tactical profile to make this incredibly competitive. And hey, football always produces surprises, right? But on paper, if both teams step onto the pitch and perform at their expected baseline levels, Mexico's deeper squad and vast experience just give them the definitive upper hand. The environment is simply going to be way too comfortable for Mexico. Because of all that, here is our predicted scoreline based on the analysis. Mexico 2, South Africa 1. I fully expect South Africa to fight fiercely. In fact, given Mexico's vulnerability to physical teams and South Africa's blazing pace, I'd say it's highly likely South Africa finds the back of the net on a lightning-fast counterattack. They are definitely going to make Mexico sweat. However, over the course of the full 90 minutes, Mexico's patient build-up, their attacking quality, and that overwhelming pseudo-home crowd support should be just enough to secure a thrilling, hard-fought 2-1 victory. That's what the analysis tells us anyway. But remember the ultimate truth of this beautiful game. One brilliant moment, or just a single mistake in the midfield, can change absolutely everything, as our final thought perfectly highlights. But this is the World Cup, where predictions are often shattered and underdogs become legends. So what do you think? Could South Africa's pace completely overwhelm Mexico's possession? Could that young African core rise to the occasion and shatter all the predictions? It's the World Cup, and literally anything is possible. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep analyzing, keep asking questions, and I'll see you